Hi, everyone, and welcome to a special podcast from Essential Zodiac. It is your 2024 astrological overview. So sit back and relax, and I'm going to tell you everything that you can expect, all the big things that you can expect in the coming year. So, in more ways than one, 2024 functions as a gigantic portal to a brand new epoch. And the reason for that is the three outer planets are working in tandem to assist us in creating our new reality. In the second part of the year, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto will work together to elevate mass consciousness, anchoring the age of Aquarius. You'll be seeing a lot of new technological and spiritual changes, and this will assist the shift into a completely new paradigm that triumphs individuality and personal growth as more of us unplug from the oppressive mental matrix of capitalism. You'll see as I go along here on how the new energy of the outer planets will change. And when that changes, our whole perspective will change. Not immediately, it'll take a little time, but eventually you'll be seeing this evolution and revolution of new ideas. Now, but before this shift, Jupiter has an epic meeting with Uranus and Taurus, which is bound to enliven the financial and real estate markets in the early spring. This combination could see some countries introduce universal basic income, real estate buyer's market, and huge personal profits for some. Even though the UK left the European Union, the rest of the countries who are still part of the European Union are, trying to work together in a more efficient way so that their economies and their currencies become strong and competitive. Now, at a personal level, for us, the cardinal signs wrap up a 15-year cycle of transformation as Pluto ends its transit in Capricorn. The mutable signs, Gemini, Virgo, and Pisces, are set to experience a few wake-up calls as the planet of illusion begins its retrograde at the critical degree of Pisces. So when I talk about cardinal signs are the initiators. They're that kind of energy. They are at the beginning of each season. So, for example, Aries is the sign for the spring equinox. And Capricorn, which we have now, is the sign for the winter solstice. And when we talk about mutable signs, those are at the end of the seasons, going into the next one. So they are flexible energy. So there you have it. So now,
a question.
Yes.
So when you say a critical degree of Pisces, what does that mean?
So the critical degrees are either 0 or 29. A planet stays in a sign for 30 degrees as it orbits around the sun. And, some planets move faster than others. But when the planet first moves into the sign, there's always a little bit of disruption, and that would be 0 degrees of whatever, so 0 degrees of Pisces. When it moves out of the sign, getting ready to go into a new sign, say from Pisces to Aries, that would be at 29 degrees of Pisces. And that is a changeable type of energy. It can cause issues when Uranus moved out of Aries into Taurus. That's when we had tsunamis, and that's when we had the Japanese nuclear plant have its meltdown. So those kind of energies have to be watched.
Interesting. Thank
Yes, you're welcome. So now we're going to talk a little bit in depth about what is happening from our eclipses to retrogrades to major notable transits. Now, the first is Pluto entering Aquarius. We had a little bit of that, but now Pluto is going to be moving into Aquarius more permanently and for the next 20 years. Pluto will move into Aquarius on January 20th through September, and then it'll have a retrograde period back into Capricorn for a while, and then it'll move back into Aquarius from November 19th to March of 2043.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, what you'll want to do when these outer planets make these shifts, because they're in the particular sign for so long, they're also going to be in your natal houses for that length of time. And you might want to call yours truly, or if you have your own astrologer that you know, call them, find out where Pluto is going to be for the next 20 years, because it'll be significant changes in that portion of your life. So this magnanimous shift anchors the age of Aquarius, which really was set in motion by the 2020 Jupiter-Saturn Great Conjunction that I know we all remember. 2020 is kind of unforgettable. And the Saturn-Uranus 2021 squares. This shift will impact those planets or placements in the early degrees of Aquarius, Taurus, Leo, and Scorpio. And the early degrees, by that I mean from 0 degrees to 10 degrees. Pluto in Aquarius brings major transformation, some might say mutations, to social structures, technology, and collective thought. Just to give you an idea of the impact, the last time Pluto was in Aquarius was the late 1700s, during the American Revolution, the French Revolution, and the start of the Industrial Revolution. Now, think back to March through June of this year, 2023, when Pluto initially moved into Aquarius. And it brought endless conversations about the ethics and impact of artificial intelligence. That debate has not been resolved. It's still out there. Over the course of this transitional year, some problems might seem to resolve, only to be replaced by new concerns. The tools and alliances that served us while Pluto was in Capricorn may no longer be what the moment requires. An attitude of detached observation can help us figure out what is necessary now. So there is Pluto. Now, Saturn is in Pisces. This is an interesting placement for Saturn. Pisces is a mutable water sign. Pisces is rules and boundaries. So Saturn in Pisces is fluid, and it disturbs Saturn's sensibilities. Saturn, the planet of limits, structure, and responsibilities, spends all of 2024 in Pisces. Though Saturn's rigidity and Pisces' magical thinking may seem like polar opposites, together they encourage our dreams and manifesting them into a reality. So we could dream all we want, and Pisces is going to encourage that. But then Saturn's going to come along and say, if you want that dream, how are you going to achieve it? What are you going to do? What's your plan? Saturn's lesson in 2023 was about walking away from tired ideas of success towards different dreams for our future. And now, 2024 Saturn's lesson is about balancing the material and spiritual, reconciling our inner beliefs and our outer reality.
I like that, you can dream big, but it's not until you actually start and work out a plan to make it happen
Exactly.
that it's actually going to become reality. So this sounds really positive.
It is. Saturn gets that bad rap of the taskmaster, the teacher. And it's true. I mean, Saturn is our teacher and our taskmaster, but he's the planet that helps us get it done. Right? So some of it's a bit unfair. Some of it is a bit unfair. So, kind of remember that as we move along in 2024. So now we're going to look at Jupiter in Gemini. Now, Jupiter, our largest planet in our solar system, our planet of abundance and expansion, enters Gemini for the first time in 12 years. The last time Jupiter was in Gemini was from June 2012 to June 2013. So look back at that time period, and it may give you clues about what areas of your life will begin to grow, flourish, and reach new heights come late spring and summer. With Mercury, Gemini's ruler, prominent as well, gossip, chatter, and intellectual rabbit holes reign supreme under this influence. So doom scrolling in the middle of the night is only going to make you sleepy and grumpy. So resist that. So the most success under this transit will be found for those who are able to sort through the chaos. Since Jupiter will square Saturn twice this year, the world of media is set for a huge overhaul in 2024. Some parts of this industry will dissolve, opening new and different channels of growth. Now, if you remember, we had the big writers' strike this year, and a lot of that also had to do with intellectual property, artificial intelligence, and how the writers were going to be paid and continued to be paid for their work, things like that. So things were straightened out between the union and the big bosses, and I think we're all going to see a lot of changes, including, a lot of movies now, Netflix, Amazon Prime, all of that. They're made for those streaming services, and, that never used to happen. Now they're as sought after as what's on the big screen, and I think the big screen is competing with that, with Netflix and all that. So it should be very interesting. We're going to take a little break, and when I come back, we're going to talk about the retrogrades and eclipses.
Start the new year off right with a daily or monthly astro forecast report from Essential Zodiac. Or perhaps you'd like more luck in the new year. Essential Apothecary has 2024 luck intention bottles available for just $20.24. And if one of your New Year's resolutions is to financially support more of the podcasters you listen to, you can become a patron of Essential Zodiac for as little as $5 a month and receive early access to the podcast and more. All the details for all of these things are at the website essentialzodiac.com. Back to you, Cindy.
Thanks, Audrey. So now the retrogrades. Dun, dun, dun. I figured, I'll have Audrey put in dramatic music for that. Mercury, our first retrograde friend, only 3 times this year. April 1st to April 25th, August 4th to August 28th, and November 25th to December 15th. So it'll touch Thanksgiving, but will be clear for Christmas in 2024. So that's good news. That's good news. Now, Mercury is going to be retrograde in the fire signs. So what that means is Mercury is going to be moving very fast in Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. The highs and lows of these retrograde periods will be extreme. The lows will include a feeling of dried up creativity and maybe even libido. But the highs will be exciting and exhilarating, to say the least. To make the best of the grand fire trine that Mercury will form in the sky, we must explore our creativity as well as different ways to chase our goals. The retrogrades of Mercury will also be crucial in teaching us how to use our words within relationships, as all three retrogrades make astrological connections with Venus. Overall, there will be an underlying healing tone to these retrogrades, so seek true rapport in all of them. So the last Mercury retrograde of 2023 actually ended in Sagittarius on New Year's Day, giving the year a bit of a slow start. Mercury next goes retrograde in Aries in April, so we may want to take care of any important financial paperwork in advance of that.
Oh, I'm hearing taxes.
Yes. I was just going to make that point. We're looking at, I think it would be prudent this year not to file your taxes April 15th, if at all possible. I mean, it's still 10 days worth of retrograde. You know, I would do everything I possibly could to file my taxes in a timely manner. If that is not going to be possible, have your tax preparer or yourself file an extension, and you'll have until August. Well, there's a retrograde in August as well, but you'll have some extra time to get your taxes done. Mercury is retrograde again, as I said, August 5th to the 28th. Now, it's going to start in Virgo, but end in Leo. So miscommunications here could add to the overall bad mood of the Jupiter-Saturn square, and I'll have more on that later. So we should avoid rushing to make decisions. And finally, Mercury is retrograde in Sagittarius from November 25th to December 15th. Although this could throw some complications and delays into holiday travel, we'll probably enjoy reminiscing about old times once we finally reach our destinations. So again, pre-plan, have a couple of backup plans, and you can get through it. Now, Mars, our friend Mars, is going to be retrograde this year. Now, Mars only goes retrograde every 2 years. So this particular year, it's his year. Now, that will happen from December 26th to February 23rd. So right after the holidays, but touching the new year. So it's going to be a little bit of a chaos there. In the heart of winter, this retrograde will help us clear out the confusion, though, that lies underneath family dynamics. If used correctly, it can be positive in helping us heal generational trauma. Mars retrogrades the least of all the planets, so when it does, it is something we want to pay attention to. Mars is the planet of action, motivation, and energy. When it travels retrograde, it can dampen our productivity, drain our energy, and make us feel a lack of motivation. If we've been doing too much, Mars retrograde can also be a trigger that leads us into burnout. Mars rules over heated emotions, so these can come bubbling up to the surface under a Mars retrograde too. Mars officially begins its retrograde in the sign of Leo on December 6th and works its way back into Cancer before stationing direct on February 24th, 2025. While in Leo, we may feel themes concentrated around feelings of motivation and confidence. When in Cancer, we may feel themes around family, home, environment, and our emotions. And that's when that generational trauma aspect might come forward, especially because Cancer is all about emotion, ruled by the moon. It is definitely a nurturing, motherly sign. So that's when that kind of energy comes forward.
So it sounds like, and maybe I'm putting too much into this, but it kind of sounds like next year's holiday season could feel like a heavy lift.
Exactly. We won't have Mercury retrograde to deal with. I mean, that'll have already gone direct. So communication should go smoothly. But Mars can, give everybody, except Aries people who, when their planet goes retrograde, they kind of fold into themselves. But the rest of us could have like that hair trigger temper. So sometimes it's good to take a breath before we speak, especially at the holiday dinner table, which always seems to be so fraught these days. But, so sometimes it's not even worth speaking. But when it is worth it, Mars is going to push us. And I think sometimes that's the thing, too. It's like you've let it go for so long that, Mars is like, you can't let it go anymore. You have to speak up. So so there you go out there. Make a note. Now we're going to talk about eclipses. And there's always 4 eclipses, 2 with the full moon, which is lunar eclipses, and 2 with the new moon, which is solar eclipses. So the first one occurs in March, and that's our full moon lunar eclipse in Libra on March 25th. And then the new moon solar eclipse in Aries on April 8th. Then in the fall, the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces on September 17th. And the final eclipse is the new moon solar eclipse in Libra, so it bookends, on October 2nd. So the eclipses happen every 6 months when the sun and the moon align with the lunar nodes, and those are points of light in the sky. And in 2023, we had 2 preview eclipses in Aries and Libra on April 20th and October 14th, respectively. Now, in 2024, we get to see how these stories play out. Aries is all about autonomy, and Libra is all about balance. But with this configuration, quality is much more important than quantity. People are going to care a lot less about what other people think under these skies. So get ready for clean breaks and hot takes. Now, some notable astrological transits. And what I mean by that is transits are when 2 or more planets get together in the sky and they form particular alignments. And those are usually very important, very significant. So we always want to pay attention to those. Now, the first one that is important is Jupiter is going to, what we call conjunct Uranus and Taurus. Now, this is arguably the most significant alignment of 2024. The meeting of Jupiter and Uranus occurs every 12 to 14 years. But Jupiter and Uranus coming together in the sign of Taurus is incredibly rare. Taurus is usually connected to the financial markets and our feelings of self-worth. Jupiter is the planet of abundance and expansion, and Uranus is the planet of technology and innovation. These three themes will be on display under this alignment and could manifest as major news about global financial markets and digital currencies. There could be a transfer of wealth out of one sector and into another. This has the potential to be an incredibly innovative time where new technologies and inventions are favored. There is an opportunity to increase wealth with smart investments or emerging technologies. So educate yourself, read books, read blogs, websites regarding, where to put your finances so that you can take advantage of the energy that's out there.
You have a financial astrologer that you like, don't you?
Yes, I do. His name is Raymond Merriman. That is MERRIMAN. And if you put that, in your search engine, he'll come up. He's very knowledgeable. He's been a financial astrologer. I mean, that's his specialty for the last 25, 30 years. I've heard him speak at conferences. He's quite intelligent and conservative as well, as far as, making financial predictions. So he's very reliable. And yes, I use him a lot. So feel free to check out his website. So now Jupiter and Uranus coming together can also create an element of surprise or instability. So on a personal level, we can tap into this energy to expand our mindset and create a more abundant vision for ourselves and for our lives. While the peak of this alignment occurs on April 21st, we will feel it building as early as March and then through May. The last Jupiter-Uranus transit occurred in 2010 and 2011 and happened in Aries. It launched our collective personal brand. It's no coincidence that Instagram was founded during this transit. So, yes, if you look back at what happened before, you can almost predict what changes, what innovations the new energy will bring us. Now, the other transit that is interesting is Jupiter in Gemini will square Saturn in Pisces. This happens on August 19th and again on December 24th. Jupiter assists Saturn's 3-year-long process of destroying the established structures and social beliefs so new ones can be built. The financial markets could suffer at this time, so good dates to keep in mind concerning investments. Under these transits, our desire to be optimistic may conflict with the heavy emotions that just can't be wished away. Spiritually bypassing is a big hazard here. We'll have to remember that uncomfortable feelings are less likely to last forever if they are allowed to flow along their natural course instead of being suppressed.
What do you mean by spiritual bypassing?
People will be in denial. They won't deal with some of the feelings that they're feeling. They'll turn their back on their religion's way of, dealing with hurt or uncertainty or whatever. They'll shut down spiritually.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like they don't want to deal. It's all about denial, so they'll do nothing. For this alignment, Jupiter will be in Gemini and Saturn will be in Pisces. This is a combination that can create friction and tension. Gemini is an air sign, Pisces is water. Jupiter wants us to expand, but Saturn wants us to contract and focus on boundaries. We may want to do things in excess, which is Jupiter, but Saturn will be there, giving us boundaries and making sure we uphold our end of the deal. This dynamic can play out in a multitude of ways, but essentially it is about finding balance around where we may be a little too excessive, and where we need some boundaries. So it will definitely work for us, if we pay attention. Now, before I end, we're going to talk about the U.S. elections.
Oh, please.
Yeah. Okay. So my astrology colleagues and I, my other astrologers, we've been going round and round with this one. There are events that are out of our control. For example, the legal mess that Trump has gotten himself into, the indictments, the election tampering, being knocked off the ballots. So all of that, along with what's happening cosmically, is quite chaotic. And one of the things I've always said is I can tell you what is happening to the energy out there. I can tell you what to expect. But if you do nothing about it, the energy passes us by and nobody uses it. So one of the things, I'm getting on my soapbox here for the moment, is please, vote. And don't waste your vote. Really think about what this election really means. And, what has been happening all around us. So, that being said, we have a unique cosmic association as Pluto's presence in Capricorn from September 1st to November 19th overlaps with the elections. This is sort of the last hurrah of the Pluto-Capricorn dance. Remember, Pluto is for transformation. Pluto is knocking down structures. So the transit adds an element of uncertainty and transformation to the political atmosphere. In the run-up to the election, the nation may grapple with profound questions about authority, leadership, and the very essence of its democratic principles. The outcome of these elections could be more than just a political decision. It could be a cosmic declaration of change and evolution, echoing the themes of Pluto's transition, because Pluto's going to go into Aquarius. Aquarius is what is good for everyone, not just the individual. Let's everyone thrive, make a living wage, have health care, have, decent housing, and it's not just here, to be quite honest. It's, the UK is having their issues. Other countries in Europe are having their issues as well. But right here, with Pluto moving into Aquarius, we can make a difference. So please, like I said, go vote. So after November 19th, Pluto will resume its journey into Aquarius, reaffirming its commitment to ushering in a new era that promises to redefine the rules of authority and society on a global scale. The main takeaway from looking at these and other astrological surveys is that the outcome of this presidential election is anything but certain. Meanwhile, we can hold space for the unexpected while we do our best to work towards a future that matters to us. Personally, I'm optimistic for the future of democracy, given the outer planets' shifts coming in 2024 to 2025, when Neptune enters Aries and Uranus enters Gemini. These transits suggest dramatic change while giving us the supports we need to see through the complexity of a new way of looking at the world. So, there you have 2024. I will also be putting this script on my blog so you can read it. It'll also, of course, be available to listen to again. You can pick it up on my website and other places, which Audrey will tell you about. And thank you for listening. And our next episode will be about the new moon in Capricorn, which will air on January 12th. And remember, with astrology, you can chart your life's course.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Essential Zodiac Podcast. We have new episodes available for you every other Friday, with special episodes like this one from time to time. Stay connected between episodes by following the Essential Zodiac on Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube, and by subscribing to Cindy's Skywatch Journal email newsletter. You can sign up for that at essentialzodiac.com. Please do share our podcast with your friends and family. It's available on all your favorite podcast platforms. And have a happy new year.